I leave it for Maharaj later. Om Gyanati Miranda Shakyanangina Salakaya Sakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvise Namaha. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, Adikanda, chapter 14. The departure of Sri Lakshmi Priya. The lady said, "The mother of this young man must be very pious and fortunate. We offer our obeisances at her feet. Fortunate also is the wife of this young man. Her birth as a woman has become worthy just by gaining such an excellent husband." In this way, the residents discussed the Lord's glory as they watched him leave. It was only by his mercy that the ordinary residents of Navadvip could see him directly. Even the demigods longed to see the Lord in this way. Lord Gaurasundar continued his unhurried journey and eventually arrived upon the banks of the river Padmavati. The river view was enchanting. Small waves constantly creased the wide expanse of water, and on either bank green forest lined the powerful current. The Lord was refreshed by the sight of the river and joined his friends for a swim in the clear water. Padmavati became fully spiritualized by the touch of the Lord's lotus feet, and her water was thereafter capable of purifying the entire creation. Padmavati was truly a beautiful river, her lapping waves and swift current most pleasing to the mind. The enchanting forests on the banks were equally pleasing to the Lord, and he stayed there for a few days. It was Padmavati's good fortune that the Lord now blessed her, joyfully playing in her water just as he had played in the Ganga at Navadvip. From the moment the Lord entered East Bengal, the land became blessed and remains so even today. The residents were happy to learn that the Lord would spend some days on the banks of the Padmavati. News of the Lord's arrival swiftly spread far and wide. Nimai Pandit, the crest jewel of all scholars and the foremost of teachers, has arrived, the residents announced. Pious Brahmanas came forward to greet the Lord, each bearing a gift for him. They offered their obeisances to him and humbly submitted, "Our great fortune must be immeasurable to have your presence in this country." People of East Bengal make a tremendous endeavor to collect funds and arrange to go to Navadvip to study under the great scholar Nimai Pandit, said one Brahmana. However, by the divine grace of the Supreme Lord, that ocean of knowledge has personally come to our doorstep. You are certainly the incarnation of Brihaspati, for no other teacher can compare with you. Upon closer scrutiny, however, I consider that comparison is inaccurate. I am convinced that you are an empowered expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. My heart tells me it is impossible to find such erudition in anyone except the Supreme. We all submit this humble petition to you. It is our greatest wish that you impart knowledge to us. In your absence, we have always thought about you, studied your commentaries amongst ourselves, and have also taught our students the same. However, now you are here in person, so please accept us as your disciples. And let the whole world know of your wonderful pastimes. The Lord smiled at all of them, happily giving them assurance and hope, and remained in East Bengal for some time, enjoying the land and the people. It is because of this event that the residents of East Bengal are attracted to the holy name and engage in congregational chanting even today. However, at the time of the composition of this book, a group of evil persons were trying to mislead people in general from the spiritual path with wrong advice. These sinners claim to be pious and cheat people just to fill their bellies. Another group of sinful offenders stopped performing devotional congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord and began instead to chant Narayan, foolishly thinking that the name of the Supreme Lord Narayan refers to themselves. It is most obvious that these men are under the clutches of the modes of material nature, so how can they shamelessly profess themselves to be the Supreme Lord? In the district of Radhadesh, there lived a man who externally appeared to be a Brahmana, but internally was a sinful demon. He declared himself Gopal, the Supreme Lord, but the more intelligent men considered him a sly and evil fox. Anyone who claims to be the Supreme Godhead, separate from Sri Krishna Chaitanya, is certainly the most wicked soul, fit to live only in hell. I loudly declare with both my hands raised high that only the true Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the entire material creation, is Sri Gaura Hari. Just by remembering his name, one becomes free from material entanglement. Even by simply remembering his servant, one becomes victorious in every sphere of life. See around you that the whole world is chanting the glories of his name. So discard your misdirected conception and serve the lotus feet of the Lord. Jai. Lord Gaurachandra, the Lord of Vaikuntha, enjoyed traveling in East Bengal, immersed in the mood of a scholar. On the enchanting banks of the river Padmavati, the Lord roamed through the forest and imparted knowledge to large gatherings of eager students. Hundreds came from everywhere to crowd his lectures. They all had one thought in mind: I want to study from Nimai Pandit. Such was the extent of the Lord's mercy upon them that within 2 months all the listeners became very knowledgeable and scholarly. Although many came simply to hear the Lord, hundreds of students returned to their homes with degrees. In this way the Lord passed his time as a scholar in East Bengal. Meanwhile in Navadvip, Lakshmi Priya Devi was feeling the pangs of separation from her Lord, but she never spoke of her loneliness to anyone. She served Sachimata very lovingly, but reduced her own eating almost to nothing after the Lord left Navadvip. Bereft of his company, she silently suffered, crying alone throughout each night, trying to suppress the restlessness which welled in her heart. Unable to bear any further separation from the Supreme Lord, Sri Lakshmi Priya Devi, the Lord's eternal consort, left a replica of her transcendental body behind and went secretly to meet her Lord. Seated upon the bank of the Ganga, Lakshmi Priya Devi fixed the lotus feet of the Lord within her heart and went deep into meditation, never to return. Sachimata's shock and deep grief is indescribable. Her pitiable lamentations could have melted stone. Since I am incapable of describing the mellow of sadness experienced by Sachimata, I shall not go into further details, but simply mention the incident in brief. The saintly Vaishnavas were also grief-stricken by the news, and they all came forward to help complete the necessary rituals. The Supreme Lord remained for some time in eastern Bengal, and then returned of his own desire to Navadvip. When the residents of East Bengal learned that the Lord would leave, they immediately collected gifts and precious treasures to give him. They presented to him gold, silver, drinking vessels, beautiful mats, soft and warm blankets, and a variety of clothes. Each person took what was most precious in his house and joyfully offered it to the Lord. In reciprocation, the Lord blessed each person and accepted the gifts. The Supreme Lord, Sri Gora Hari, visited the residents, and after taking their leave, he started for Navadvip. Many students decided to accompany the Lord to Navadvip, where they could study under him. As the Lord was about to leave, an intelligent Brahmana named Tapanamishra approached him. Although Tapanamishra was a pure devotee and was well versed in the conclusions of the Vedas, he could find no one to answer his questions on the perfect spiritual path and the ultimate goal, an absolute worshipable object. He constantly chanted the holy name of Krishna, yet he felt dissatisfied in the absence of proper spiritual understanding. He had lived in this perturbed state of mind for some time, but because of his piety, he was awarded a vision in an early morning dream. An effulgent person who looked like a demigod spoke some confidential instructions to him. Listen, O Brahmana, you are a renowned soul, so do not worry so much. Pacify your mind. Go and meet Nimai Pandit. He will explain all that you want to know about the spiritual path and highest spiritual goal. He is not an ordinary mortal, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. He has appeared in this material world, accepting a human body to perform his wonderful transcendental pastimes. However, I warn you not to repeat what I have just told you, for this knowledge is most confidential. It is not available even in the Vedas. If you reveal this, then you will suffer unbearable pain, life after life. The demigod disappeared from his dream, and the Brahmana awoke. His wonderful vision thrilled him, and he shed tears of joy. Convinced that his fortune had changed, the Brahmana received new life and left immediately to meet the Lord. When he reached the bank of Padmavati, he saw Sri Gaurasundar surrounded by many hundreds of disciples. In the midst of that enchanting scene, he threw himself down at the Lord's lotus feet and then stood up with folded hands. The Brahmana said, I am a fallen and wretched person. Please look upon me mercifully and destroy my bewilderment. I have no knowledge about the perfect spiritual path and the ultimate goal of human life. Be gracious and impart this knowledge to me. My heart does not long for material enjoyment and luxuries. Please tell me, O merciful Lord, what will be the ultimate shelter for my soul? The Lord said, O Brahmana, who can describe your good fortune? You have a desire to worship the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, and that is the perfect and highest path. To be a devotee of the Lord is very difficult, so the Lord comes in every yuga to establish the standard of religion for that age. He appears in each of the 4 yugas to establish the particular religious practice for that yuga himself, and then he returns to his spiritual abode. In the Bhagavad Gita 4.8, in order to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I advance myself, yuga after yuga. The Lord appears in every yuga, accepting different incarnations with different complexions, such as white, red, and yellow. Most recently, in the latter portion of the Apara Yuga, he appeared with a blackish complexion, so he was called Krishna. In the 4 yugas, there are 4 different authorized processes of religion for the elevation of human society. The religious practice for the present age of Kali is congregational chanting of the holy name of Sri Krishna. The real purpose of religion is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Hari, and in the different yugas, different religious practices were established by the Supreme Lord Himself to achieve this end. In Kali Yuga, the recommended authorized religious practice is congregational chanting of the names of Krishna, and this process includes all the other previous processes. Therefore, in Kali Yuga, congregational chanting, the holy name, is the essential religious principle, and no other religious practice can help one cross over the material ocean of nescience. Constantly chant the Lord's name in any situation. Even the Vedas fail to sufficiently describe the super excellent qualities of chanting the holy name of the Lord. Listen, excuse me. Listen, my dear Mishra, in Kali Yuga there is no need for severe penances or performance of opulent sacrifices, and whoever worships the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna by this prescribed method of chanting will be crowned with the greatest fortune and success. So go back to your home and worship Sri Krishna with undeviating faith and attention, giving up all duplicitous material desire. By chanting the holy name of Sri Hari Krishna, you will simultaneously obtain both the proper spiritual practice and the ultimate goal. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. I now am repeating this great chant for the deliverance to you. This consists of 16 names of the Supreme Lord with 32 syllables. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By constantly chanting and worshipping this Maha Mantra, your heart will feel the first blossoming of Krishna Prema. Then gradually you will understand the truth about the proper spiritual path and the ultimate spiritual goal. Having received such sublime instructions from the Lord, Tapana Mishra offered repeated obeisances at his lotus feet and then said, O Lord, with your permission, I would like to accompany you. The Lord replied, You should go immediately to Varanasi. There we shall meet again, and I shall reveal further detail in answer to your request. The Lord then embraced him, and the Brahmana felt his entire body surge with horripilation and spiritual ecstasy. The Lord's embrace filled Sri Mishra with immeasurable happiness. As the Lord prepared to leave, Mishra held his feet tightly and confidentially narrated his entire dream. After hearing of the dream, the Lord said, You must be very careful not to reveal the truth of this dream to anyone. He then repeated the same instruction to the Brahmana, and then, sensing that an auspicious moment had arrived for him to leave, he laughed loudly and proceeded to Navadvip. Thus the Lord purified the entire tract of East Bengal and then returned home. After a few days, the Lord reached Navadvip in the evening laden with gifts he had received. He offered full obeisances at his mother's lotus feet and gave her all the gifts. Then the Lord and his students left to bathe in the Ganges. Although her heart was breaking with pain, Sachimata busied herself preparing a meal for her son. Nimai Pandit acted as the instructing spiritual master to all his students, so he joined them in offering deep and repeated obeisances to the Ganga, and then sported for some time in her water. When his bath was complete, he returned home, performed his daily religious rituals, and then sat down to eat. The Lord of the Vaikuntha planets, Sri Gaurahari, ate with great satisfaction and then went to the temple room. One by one, his relatives came forward to greet him after his long absence. They sat around him as he joked and laughed while describing his stay in East Bengal. Nimai imitated the strange habits of the people of East Bengal, and everyone had a good laugh. None of them mentioned the passing of Lakshmi Devi, knowing that the shock would cause the Lord grief. After some time, the relatives all returned to their homes, and the Lord sat quietly, chewing on betel pan and reflecting on the humorous conversation. Sachimata avoided meeting the Lord. She stayed in her room, deeply affected by the pain of Lakshmi Priya's death. When Nimai found his mother, he saw the marks of deep sorrow which lined her face. In a sweet, comforting voice, he said, "What is the reason for your sorrow, mother? I have returned from my journey in good health, so you should be happy. But I see only sadness upon your face. Tell me the truth, mother, what is the reason?" Her son's words simply increased her pain, and she wept silently, unable to speak. "Mother, I know everything," said Nimai. "Tell me, has your daughter-in-law met with misfortune?" Some relatives stepped forward to speak. "Listen, Nimai Pandit, your wife has left for the Ganga and reached the lotus feet of the Lord." The Supreme Lord, Sri Gaurahari, remained silent, casting his head down as he contemplated the departure of his eternal consort and wife, Sri Lakshmi Devi. He allowed the pain of separation to engulf him, and although he was the personification of all Vedic truth, he remained silent. Like any ordinary human being, he displays the emotions of deep sorrow, but after controlling himself, he spoke. By bodily attachment, one is regarded as a husband or son. These illusory relationships are caused by misunderstanding. "O mother, why do you feel sad? How can you hope to change that which has been ordained by the Lord's desire? No one can check the passage of time, and all relationships in this world are temporary. This is the verdict of the Vedas. The activities of the entire cosmic creation rest in the hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who but our Lord can bring together people and then separate them?" We stop here for today, and we read further tomorrow. And then tomorrow Maharaj is here. He will read.
He will read after hours.
What do you say?
He will read after hours.
I think that's on Thursday.
No, he's coming today, then he leaves, then he stays tomorrow, and then he leaves Thursday morning.
Oh, Thursday.
Yeah. Jai, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Ki Jai. Adhikanda chapter 14, the departure of Sri Lakshmi Priya Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai. Sriman Sarva Bhavana Das Ki Jai. Jai Srila Gurudev. Can you please sing Hari Hari? Hariya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Yadavaya Madhavaya